Hello everyone, this is a video of your results for 5-11, your sim medium. So remember that this is testing for 3 different things. It's testing for the production of hydrogen sulfide, the production of indole, and motility. So we have our deeps here. The first thing that we can look for is our production of hydrogen sulfide and our motility. So let's look first at our control. So we can see that there's some bubbles around where our stab was. So remember that we inoculated these just with a needle. But there's no growth to be seen on the top there. It's all clear. There's nothing growing on the top. I can't see anything inside the stab, which means that this control was good. We're going to use this to compare with motility, since this has no turbidity. So we can compare that to our other tubes to see if they had motility. I'll also use, it's not in your textbook, but it can help with kind of seeing how clear or turbid something is. So this we used in our antimicrobial test. Our next one we can look at is E. coli. We can see that there is some growth on the top there of organism, like kind of a whitish color of the culture. And it's kind of hard to tell, but we'll compare it. It's turbid, but that is hard to tell. So comparing it just to the control alone, you can see that it has moved. So here's the control. The stab there is clear, but the agar around it is still pretty clear. But the E. coli, we can't really see where the stab is anymore, and there's just kind of, it's fuzzy. So that means that the organism is motile. It moved around from where a stab was. It moved away. Okay, so that's E. coli. So E. coli moved away from the stab. That means it's motile. Our next organism is Micrococcus luteus, M. luteus. So we can look at that. Again, super hard to tell, so we'll compare it to something else. Let's compare this M. luteus compared to the control. Looks pretty similar. Let's make sure that there's growth. Yeah, so M. luteus should be yellow. You can see a yellow dot where my stab entered the agar. And you can see that there's some growth around where the stab was, but it hasn't moved away from the stab. It hasn't moved into the rest of the agar, which means that M. luteus, the organism, is not motile. Our last organism that we're looking at here is Proteus mirabilis. So we can't really tell, well, I guess you could tell if it's motile, right? Because there's not just black around the stab, or there's not just growth around the stab, but there's growth throughout the medium, and it's black. So the black tells us that this produces hydrogen sulfide, so that is positive for the sulfur test. So that's looking at them for motility and sulfur hydrogen sulfide production. Now we're going to look at our last part, the I, the indole production. So what we do then is we're going to put on some KOVAS reagent. So what we do to put on KOVAS reagent is we have these little tubes with the reagent, and to open them we kind of have to use it like if you've ever had a glow stick. Like there's the reagent is in a glass tube inside this, and then it's a dropper. So to open the glass tube, you just kind of gotta crack it, like as if you were opening a glue stick, and then it can drip out. So we'll look at the control first. So we're just going to drop some Kovac reagent into there. And we just need a little bit. Like your book says, only like 2 millimeters to look there at the ring. And the book says to let it sit for a few minutes. So, but it doesn't actually take too long. So there's the control. I'll use a white background. So you see the liquid there is still like that yellowish color. It's not turning pink. So that's the control. It's a yellowish color. Okay. Your next one, here's E. coli. E. coli testing for indole production with KOVAS reagent. We'll put our drops on. Actually, I'll put a couple more on. So the color change was pretty immediate, right? That turned, so the E. coli turned a pink color when the KOVAS reagent reacted with the organism. That's E. coli. E. coli turned pink. Okay, your next one is Micrococcus luteus. We'll test that for indole production. So dropping our Kovac onto the Micrococcus luteus. Running out of drops. So I'm going to open my next one. Just like before, just kind of crack that glass tube and then drop it in. Okay, that's enough. So, kind of rope it around in there. So we've got some liquid there on the Micrococcus luteus. And it's not turning pink, right? So that's yellow result with KOVAS reagent for Micrococcus luteus, which is negative. And then our last organism, Proteus mirabilis, P. mirabilis. We'll test that for indole production with our KOVAS reagent. So we take our Kovac just like before, drop it in. There we go. So that liquid on top there is yellow, not pink, for Proteus mirabilis. And that concludes your sim test for 5-11.